I've got my simple strategy to become a millionaire, and you guys are not going to believe how easy it is. First of all you have to do is go out and drastically overpay for a graphics card. And we're not even talking double MSRP. Forget that, let's go triple MSRP. Then the next thing you need to do is get that graphics card, put it in a computer and press play. And then you'll be getting $2 a day at current mining profitability rates.
But $2 a day, Brian, that's going to take you 500,000 days to become a millionaire.
Yeah, bro, that is not a problem. I've been getting my investment advice off people on Twitter who are just telling me to go buy these cards, even at their overpriced prices, and then also buy the dip. And if it dips again, just buy the next dip, and then buy the dip after that, and then the dip after the dip after the dip after the dip, and then you'll be a millionaire even quicker.
But the average human only lives for under 30,000 days.
Guys, that's a good point. I gotta go back to my favorite Twitter shills and ask for the next step. What is going on, guys? Today we've got here the Phantom Gaming OC from ASRock. This is the 6700 XT, and first of all, we're gonna preface this review. ASRock sent it in, they said, Brian, take a look at this graphics card. And I said to ASRock, I said, do you know what kind of market you are sending me this graphics card to in? And they said to me, yes, of course we're aware of this, but we're doing our best to alleviate the problem. And then my response was, well, unless you're part of the Federal Reserve, you ain't gonna be alleviating any problems, and I don't think many people will. But the good news is that the mining profitability, as that number comes down, that means the amount of miners out there that are prepared to pay these high premiums and their return on investments are looking lower and lower every day. And in fact, this card right here, when we checked out the what to mine mining profitability this morning before I was doing this review, I noticed that it's really just coming over $2 a day profit, which makes it a really good card for those who want to seek out, I guess, the best value as a gamer, even if you're going into an overpriced market. And I'm not talking about this model in particular, I'm just talking about the 6700 XT, where even on a recent deals hunt, I saw this card come in, and I saw one locally here for around 1,000 Aussie, which would be around 750 USD. And look, I know those prices still suck, but that's still only a 50% premium over what some of these websites are charging, where I'm gonna say this card here, where it's in stock at 1,400 USD, if anyone is out there, do not pay these prices for this card. It's an absolute rip-off, and even in Australia, there's a retailer asking over 1,500 Aussie dollars for what is considered from AMD a mid to sort of mid-high range card. And now that said, if you're a gamer, this next piece of news is pretty important, because this card right here is not going to be targeted by miners as, say, an RX 6800 on the AMD side, which does have higher hash rate performance. And then on the NVIDIA side, a 3060 Ti will get higher hash rates than this card also, which puts it in a great spot considering the FPS numbers versus those other two cards that I spoke about. And we'll pull up the graphs here, where we'll go through all the different resolutions here today, and we'll start off with Call of Duty Black Ops at 1080p, where the 6700 XT really shines, and it's a great card for people who want to play with detail but also play at high refresh rates. And then move over to 1440p, we can see here that it does outperform the reference model, and we'll talk about the temps and noises later, which is a real big benefit of the Phantom Gaming. Though you can see in this particular title, AMD is gaining the advantage over the NVIDIA cards, and the 6700 XT is actually coming closer to that of a 3070, which is priced a little bit higher in not just the market, but also the MSRP terms too. Then move over to 4K, this is where you'll see a similar trend across all the games here. The NVIDIA cards do start to outperform relative to 1440p and 1080p. The next title we'll move on to here is F1 2020, and I test the AMD cards on DX12. The NVIDIA cards get tested on DX11 because the NVIDIA cards actually perform a lot better on DX11, which has me scratching my head. But at 1080p, really solid performance from the 6700 XT, and that stretches on to 1440p and also 4K, putting it at a really good value proposition if you can get the card closer to a realistic price of MSRP in this current climate. Though the next title we got up here is Fortnite Epic Settings with the new game update. Every time I test this game, there's a new update. sometimes there's new maps and everything. But a DX12 we had here at 1080p, the 6700 XT performing really well. This is max settings across the board. 1440p was also pretty good performance. Though at 4K, the NVIDIA cards do start to catch up. Now the next game, the last title we're gonna pull up here is Shadow of the Tomb Raider, and I decided to include the overclocked numbers in this particular title because this is one of the first few cards that I've had come through here where I'm gonna say the overclocking numbers were very impressive, to the point where if you got yourself one of these cards, you would definitely want to take advantage of the overclocking, as it's pretty much to the tune of 10%, and the temperatures and all the noise is still well under control, where I was absolutely blown away by the fact that this thing was pretty much across the board performing closer to a 3070 than it was to a 3060 Ti, and even beating the 3070 in certain cases, especially at 1080p. Then we move up to 1440p, and again, these overclocked figures showing that it's a reliable overclock, it's free performance, and 4K will also show the same thing too. And speaking of overclocks, the reason it's able to do such good numbers is because of the cooler, where we're weighing in at 1185 grams with 380mm fans. And out of the box, and also custom fan profiles, I'll pull these numbers up, where the OTB figures were looking really good at 51% auto, and the noise was ridiculously low. And then moving over to my favorite spot there, if you want to set in custom manual fan speeds, 80% was giving extremely low temperatures, but the noise was still well under control. Though if you go to 100%, it is going to sound like a jet engine. After 80%, the diminishing returns are hard on the fan speeds, especially versus the noise, and you only get a 1 degree drop. Though for the power consumption numbers, I actually had to go back and put my 10900K in the system because I'm not redoing all the power consumption test figures just for this one graphics card. But we can see here the 6700 XT Phantom Gaming does do a great job on power consumption versus the other counterparts. And when you overclock it, you're not using a whole lot more power. There is still some power consumption increase, but especially for the extra performance and catching up to those higher priced cards, it is well worth it in my opinion. Then now it's time for my favorite part on this graphics card. You're probably like, Brian, aesthetics is becoming your favorite part of a graphics card. And I gotta say, this is where ASRock are doing a pretty good wowzer job of making a card that looks clean and has the bling with RGB on the side with the logo lighting up Phantom Gaming. You can control this in software, and the middle fan also lights up with RGB too, and then having a black, gunmetal gray, and red aesthetic, which extends all the way through the metal backplate. Then on the rear of the card, you've got 3 DisplayPort outs and 1 HDMI 2.0, which will support 120Hz 4K 444 full RGB. Though for power connectors, you'll need 2 8-pins, and then for the ray tracing performance, if it's ray tracing you're looking for with one of these cards, I think this generation isn't yet it, and I'd wait for a few more generations or even next generation to see how ray tracing performs. And with all that out of the way, it's now time for a conclusion on the Phantom Gaming OC 6700 XT from ASRock. And this is where I'm gonna just say my first and only critiquing point with this card right here. And that is, it's a message to ASRock directly, and that is, with the Phantom Gaming line of products, you have to choose which you want to do. Do you want to go with that more higher end premium card, or do you want to go with that entry level sort of value orientated card? Because this one here, from what I'm told, it should be just under 500 USD. I think it's like 490 USD MSRP. So a little bit above that 430 that AMD is suggesting, or even 450 if prices ever came back to normal that you'd expect to get traditionally. So they are pricing it just based on the original MSRPs that I saw as more of a premium option. But in the past, I have seen other models of Phantom Gaming cards. For instance, I can think off the top of my head, the RX 590 Phantom Gaming. That thing was more of a value entry card with no RGB and with pretty loud fans and mediocre temperatures. This right here is a premium card, which really made me open my eyes, because I had that impression of the Phantom Gaming cards being that entry or value level orientated graphics card. But this right here is literally like a premium card that has everything that I'd want from a graphics card personally. Great temperatures, great noise, good overclocking, and great aesthetics, as well as just being a massive card to hold. When I get a hold of my graphics card, I like to know that I'm feeling something big. And that's what the Phantom Gaming RX 6700 XT definitely delivers. But again, ASRock, you've got to choose with this Phantom Gaming brand. Do you want to go the value route or the high-end route, and make a choice? Because when people go down the store, then they see Phantom Gaming, what are they going to get? They're going to get a lucky dip. They don't know what they're getting, a value or a premium product. So I'd like them to distinguish with this brand what they want to do. Though with that criticism out of the way, this is honestly one of the best, not just 6700 XT cards that I've seen through here, but also one of the best graphics cards, period. The temperatures were simply phenomenal, and also the looks as well as the noise had that to match. So ASRock have done a phenomenal job, and it's great to see them, especially in the graphics card market, make such an impact with their designs, especially compared to a couple of years ago when they first got into the game and they were new to the scene. But this right here definitely marks something special. And if you go out and get one of these and don't pay those ridiculous prices for it, but if prices do come down pretty soon and you see one of these versus another brand 6700 XT, then this one definitely gets the nod of approval from me. Anyway guys, with that aside, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, be sure to hit that like button for us, just like this question of the day here, which is from Cubile O with the eyes on top, and they ask, hey man, I used contacts cleaner to clean my mouse, but now it's not recognized by computer like it detects and undetects continuously. Do you have any idea why is it like this? So I've answered this question in the past on my channel and talked about it. Do not use ECC, that's electrical contact cleaner, or what I use, brake cleaner, on a mouse. The mouse is like the only product I never use it on, even when the mouse isn't plugged in. Because a lot of mice, once you unplug them, they'll hold an electrical charge still, but also they may have a little battery in them, especially if they're a wireless mouse, and that will still keep current going through the mouse. So never spray brake cleaner or ECC on a mouse because it usually has live electronics on it. And also if you're spraying things like power supplies down or motherboards, make sure you drain the charge in those components, because basically ECC, even though it evaporates quickly, it can still conduct a charge if it's sprayed on live electronics, and that can short things out. So unfortunately, your mouse could be finished, but since it is kicking in and out, it may be that some of the spray is still actually wet inside the unit itself and it just needs to be dried out. So if you have like a heat gun or a hair dryer, put it on a mildly hot temperature and make sure all the moisture is drained out of the mouse, and then you can try turning it on again. It may work, but the mouse, as I said before, may be finished. So that's the one product you don't use ECC or brake cleaner on, is the mouse. But for me personally, I still use multi-purpose spray on my mice because the multi-purpose spray isn't conductive or capacitive, unlike the ECC or brake cleaner, which is. Hope that answers that question, and I'll catch you guys in another tech video very soon. If you stayed this far and you're enjoying that tech, yes, content, be sure to hit that sub button, ring that bell, and I'll catch you guys in another tech video very soon. Peace out for now. Bye.